In this video, you will learn about the dynamic email content and SugarMarket and how to set up segments to use for this purpose. Dynamic email content is a feature in SugarMarket that allows you to further personalize your marketing campaigns with content that changes based on the recipient's information preferences and more. Basically, you can customize the way your email looks depending on the characteristics of the persons receiving them, all within a single email campaign. Let's look at an example. We're sending a marketing email with pictures of various fruits to everyone in our marketing lists. However, for recipients who are located in the state of Georgia, we want the pictures specifically show peaches since it's the fruit the state is known for. In addition, we want the recipients in Hawaii to see a picture of pineapples for the exact same reason. SugarMarket's dynamic email content allows you to do just this. The videos in this series will break down the different steps you'll take in order to correctly use this functionality, starting with the first step, creating your segments. Segments are defined contact groupings used to target specific people based on their database information. When using dynamic email content, please note that segments are only used with dynamic email content. They do not work independently like dynamic lists. There are 3 different areas you can go when creating segments for dynamic content. One is to create this segment prior to creating your campaign by going to your navigation menu and selecting Lists, then Segments. Another is during your campaign setup when configuring dynamic elements in the setup step of the email builder. And the final is when configuring dynamic elements in the build step of the email builder. For the purposes of this video, we will create our segments via the Lists Create Segments option in the navigation bar. The first step when creating a segment is to name it. Make sure your name identifies this target group well, as you'll be able to use the same segment moving forward. That means you won't have to create your same segments over and over. Next, we'll move on to defining the conditions in which our contacts need to meet to become a part of this segment. It's important to note that, like the report builder, these segments can be broken down into groupings if needed. We'll start by defining the first grouping, and then we can add any additional groupings if we'd like. The first step in defining the conditions for our segment is choosing the record type. The record type allows you to choose from what table you're using information to build your segment. Contact, which pulls fields from the contact and lead level. Accounts, which pulls fields from the account or business level. And opportunities, which pulls fields from the opportunity level. Please note that segments will only be made up of contact or lead records, as we can only send to an individual. Selecting another record type and condition in a grouping will simply pull associated contact and or lead records into that segment. Next, we will select the field we wish to filter our selected record type by. Depending on which record type you select, you will see all the fields located on that table. Then we will select our operator and our desired value. Make sure when entering this value that it matches the correct backend value that is stored in SugarMarket for your external CRM. For example, if your team always enters any Georgia address into the system as GA, be sure to put GA in this field. You now have the ability to add additional conditions or additional groupings to round out your segment. For this example, we're only looking for this one criterion to create this segment, so it's not necessary to add additional conditions or groupings. The final step before saving your segment will change depending on where you are creating the segment. If you're creating the segment through the navigation bar, you will be prompted to add a description to describe your segment. If you're creating this segment through the setup step of the email builder, you'll be prompted to add in the value that will be shown for this particular segment. For example, the email subject line, email from name, etc. Finally, if you're creating this segment through the build step of the email builder, you will simply save the segment after defining your conditions and groupings. Once you've created your segment, you can copy or edit them at any time, either through the Lists module in the navigation bar or by clicking on the icons to the right of the segment when configuring in the dynamic element in the email builder. Now you're ready to start building your dynamic email. Tune in to the next video in this series to learn more about customizing your email step with dynamic email content.